You can remember the face, the voice, the entire little backstory. But the name? Gone. Not a little fuzzy, not give me a second. Gone like your brain deleted the file out of spite. You shake someone's hand. They say their name. You say yours. 5 seconds later, you are standing there smiling like a normal human while your mind is screaming. Was it Daniel? David? Derek? Did it even start with a D? Am I about to call this man refrigerator? And here's the annoying part. You were paying attention. You noticed the glasses, the scar near the eyebrow. You remember they moved from Chicago and laughed at your joke, which, frankly, was generous of them. But the name? Empty shelf. And that blank feels weirdly personal. It feels like evidence in a trial where the charge is, you are careless, self-absorbed, and possibly rude. Relax. Your brain is not broken. It is just bad at holding one of the weakest pieces of information humans casually throw at each other. A new name is usually a sound label with almost no built-in meaning. Your brain prefers information with hooks, emotion, images, patterns, stories, danger, reward, anything it can connect to something already stored. A name often arrives with none of that. So the better question is not, why am I terrible with names? The better question is, why would your brain protect random syllables heard once in a noisy room while you were busy trying not to seem weird? The answer comes down to 4 things. Names are poor memory objects. Introductions overload attention. Anxiety blocks retrieval. And names only stick when you give them somewhere to live. And the trouble starts the second the name hits your ears. Reason 1. A name is a terrible memory object. Think about the difference between learning the word fire and learning the name Kevin. Fire brings an entire package. Heat, smoke, danger, alarms, campfires. That one dinner you nearly destroyed and confidently described as charred. The word plugs into sensations and memories you already have. Your brain has hooks for it. Kevin gives you almost nothing. Kevin does not tell you whether Kevin is funny, impatient, generous, or the kind of person who says, "Quick question," before trapping you in a 40-minute explanation. The name arrives like a cheap sticker slapped onto a person your brain is still trying to understand. Meanwhile, the face is doing real work. Expression tells you mood. Posture hints at intention. Tone carries emotion. A story gives the person shape. Your brain grabs all of that because it means something. The name, by itself? Almost nothing. To remember it, your brain has to store the sound, store the person, and then glue the two together. That glue job is fragile. Memory generally works better when information is repeated, distinctive, emotional, visual, or connected to knowledge you already have. A new name, spoken once, may have none of those advantages. It is lonely information. And lonely information gets mugged in the alley. This explains something that seems contradictory. You can remember a conversation in ridiculous detail and still forget the speaker's name. You remember their laugh, the story about their dog, and their strange opinion about airport carpeting. But the name sits outside that network like a password. And passwords are evil. Remembering a person and remembering their label are related, but not identical. Your brain may preserve the meaningful impression while dropping the arbitrary tag. That is not proof that you did not care. It may be proof that the human was more memorable than the label. But names are not just weak memory material. They also arrive at the worst possible time. Reason 2. Introductions are the worst time to learn anything. A first introduction looks simple from the outside. 2 people. Handshake. Small smile. Name exchange. Very civilized. Inside your brain, it is a crowded subway car on fire. You are reading eye contact, posture, distance, tone, and expression. You are deciding whether this person feels warm, awkward, formal, safe, strange, or like they are about to ask you about crypto. At the same time, you are monitoring yourself. Was that handshake weird? Did I interrupt? Am I standing too close? What do I say next? Why did I laugh like that? And right in the middle of that traffic jam, the most fragile information appears. A name. Maybe it is spoken quickly while music is playing and three other people are talking. You hear it. You might even repeat it automatically. Nice to meet you, Sarah. Very smooth. Very adult. But hearing is not the same as storing. Registering is not filing. A name can pass through working memory like a receipt you swear you put in your wallet. It was in your hand. Then it was in the wind. Now good luck returning anything. There is another trap. When you know your turn to speak is coming, part of your attention starts rehearsing what you will say. Psychologists have observed this in turn-taking situations. People often remember less of what comes immediately before their own turn because they are preparing their response. Instead of absorbing the other person, your mind is backstage fixing its costume and whispering its lines. What will I say? Will I sound strange? Should I mention my job title? Do I say, I work in marketing, or explain what I actually do and watch their eyes die? So when someone says their name just before you introduce yourself, your body is present. Your face is present. Your hand may even be doing the handshake. But your attention? Backstage, waiting for its cue. The name may not have disappeared from stable memory. It may never have been stored strongly in the first place. That is bandwidth, not a character flaw. But once you notice the name is gone, a new problem arrives wearing steel-toed boots. Stress. Reason 3. Panic makes the blank deeper. The worst version happens when you need to introduce two people. You know this person's face, job, story, dog's name, and extremely specific opinion about airport carpeting. But the human's actual name? Blank wall. Outside, you smile. Inside, a search party is sprinting through the building and kicking down doors. Stress consumes attention. The harder you force yourself to retrieve a weakly stored name, the more the situation feels like an emergency. And social emergencies are terrible retrieval environments. The name seems close, almost visible. You know that you know it, which is somehow worse. It is in there somewhere, smirking. Forgetting a film title embarrasses no one. You can say, you know, the one with the guy and the thing, and everyone survives. Forgetting the name of the person standing in front of you feels like a social crisis. Stress is useful when something dangerous is chasing you. It is less useful when you are trying to recover a weak label you heard 12 minutes ago while holding a drink and pretending to enjoy networking. Then, 3 hours later, when the pressure is gone, the answer appears. In the car. In the shower. At 1:17 in the morning. Rebecca. Of course. Thanks, brain. Excellent timing. The name was not necessarily erased. The memory trace may have been weak, and pressure made access harder. When the pressure disappears, retrieval often becomes easier. But there is one more layer. Your brain gives special treatment to information that feels marked. Names usually do not, unless you change how they land. Reason 4. A name sticks when you give it meaning. Your brain is more likely to retain information that feels distinctive, emotional, visual, useful, or connected to something familiar. A plain, I'm Chris, gives you no image, story, or emotional charge. Just Chris, floating in the void. But context changes the landing. I'm Chris, like Christmas. My parents were apparently exhausted in December. Now there is a scene. A woman named Rose wearing a red coat creates a visual link. Bill can become a dollar bill. Grace can become a dancer. Baker already comes with bread, flour, ovens, and possibly a tiny hat if your imagination is feeling theatrical. The association does not need to be logical. It only needs to give the label somewhere to live. This is why vivid, unusual associations can be so effective. They turn an abstract sound into something the brain can picture, connect, and revisit. Memory competitors use versions of this strategy deliberately. They convert arbitrary information into images, locations, stories, and emotional scenes. They are not forcing the brain to become a better filing cabinet. They are changing the information into something the brain already knows how to store. The name stops being an isolated password. It becomes part of a network. The brain did not change. The input did. So now we know why names disappear. They are weak labels, introduced during cognitive chaos, stored with almost no meaning, and searched for under pressure. The solution is not to shame yourself into remembering. Shame usually makes recall worse, because apparently your brain does not enjoy being bullied by its own owner. The solution is to build the missing bridge. What actually works? Try harder is useless advice. Most of the time, it means staring at someone with social terror while repeating their name internally like a hostage note. Jonah, 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 Jonah. Please, Jonah, do not leave me. A better move is to do something with the name as soon as it appears. First, repeat it once naturally. Nice to meet you, Jonah. That gives the sound a second pass. Not magic, just one more mark in memory. Second, connect it to one visible or meaningful detail. Jonah may suggest an ocean, a whale, surfing, or a name painted on a boat. Sarah from Seattle. Sarah with the silver glasses. Sarah who studies sharks. The association does not need to be clever. Your brain is not a courtroom. It accepts nonsense when the nonsense is vivid. Third, ask about an unfamiliar name. How do you spell that? Where is that name from? Now you get repetition, meaning, and possibly a story. That is 3 hooks instead of one sad syllable slipping off a cliff. Fourth, use the name one more time during the conversation. Emma, that's interesting. Not in every sentence. Do not become that person. Nobody wants to hear their own name 12 times in 2 minutes, like you just discovered a 1998 sales manual. 1 or 2 natural uses are enough to move the name from passive sound into active use. Fifth, make the association visual. Hazel with green eyes. Cliff who is tall. June talking about summer travel. If you meet a man named Bill and imagine him made entirely of dollar bills, congratulations. You are using your brain correctly and also being mildly ridiculous. Both can be true. And when the name is already gone, do not spend 10 minutes pretending you still have it. Ask early, warmly, directly. I'm sorry, remind me of your name again? That is it. No courtroom drama. No confession booth. No emotional documentary about your failure as a person. Most people care less than your anxiety predicts. Many of them have forgotten your name too, because everyone is out here running on caffeine, stress, and fragile working memory. If you blank while introducing 2 people, say, I want to make sure I get your name right. That signals respect instead of carelessness. Because the social problem is not forgetting. The social problem is pretending until the entire interaction becomes theater. Once you understand the mechanics, forgetting a name becomes less morally loaded. It does not prove that you are selfish. It means the label was weak, your attention was crowded, and anxiety was loud. Names still matter. They create recognition. They make interactions personal. They tell someone, I see you, not just the vague human shape standing near the snacks. But losing one does not need to become a trial about your character. It is a memory problem with a memory solution. Repeat the name. Use it. Connect it. Ask about it. Make it visual. Give it a tiny story. And when it disappears, ask again before panic turns a small memory gap into a full theatrical production starring you as person who definitely knows your name. Almost everyone knows that moment. Standing there, smiling and nodding, searching a brain that saved the entire conversation except the one word you need most. Cruel little machine. But now you know what it is doing. Sometimes the label and the person arrive together, and your brain keeps the part that feels more meaningful. The person was more interesting. Honestly? Fair. If this helped you understand one of the strange, ordinary things your mind does, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.